Welcome to the What's Next podcast. On today's episode, Brian and I open up and chat about why we came together to share our stories. We want to start the conversation. We're here to break down some walls and dig into some tough spots. Join us on this journey. So if you're ready, buckle up. Let's go. Hey guys, Mike Hectus here, and
Brian Stevens.
There you go.
I had to think about that for a second.
That's all right. That's cool. Hey, listen, this is our new podcast. We're glad you're here. It's called What's Next? Because so often as we've gone through, the last couple of years, but even before that, we've all gone through some difficult times, and some have gone through some great times during this whole thing. But, what's next? So today we're going to talk about what's next. So first off, Brian, tell me. Brian Stevens. Let's go back for a minute. This all started a couple of years ago when I had a broadcast called Extraordinary Life Live, and you had...
I had, formerly the Frontline Forward radio show on CKWR.
Yeah.
And then I had my my own podcast, just called Frontline Forward Podcast.
And how many times did we get poked by people saying, why the heck aren't you doing this again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know what, Mike, where this came from too, at Frontline Forward, which I'm the proud owner of. We're redoing our website. We're revamping, we're turning a new page.
Yeah.
And with that, the talented young lady that's looking after our website, redesigning it and bringing us a new brand, not a new brand, but just a new direction towards that. She said to me, she goes, whatever happened to the podcast?
Yeah.
And I said, well, the world's been on stall now for about 2.5 years. And she said, you need to revisit that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I agree. I mean, it was brilliant. I was on the show a few times, but, and then the same thing, I'd run into people and they say, what happened to your Extraordinary Life Live? I used to follow it and watch it, and it was great storytelling. And I thought, you know what? I really don't know why I stopped. I think more than anything, it was just everything happening in the world at that time. And you just kind of sat back and said, I got to take a look at where I'm going here. And so we've now decided to partner up together and start a podcast. And we called it What's Next? And I think more than anything is because, for you and me both, what is next?
Well, and I think that goes with just about everybody out there is how'd you get to be where you are?
Yeah.
Good and bad. Doesn't matter. And what is next for you in life? So what's next?
Yeah.
What's the next step?
Yeah.
Right.
So let's start with that though. So what's next? We look at where we came from and where we are and what is next. What is your vision moving forward? So tell me a little bit about, let's tell everybody, those that don't know, that are new to the podcast, Brian Stevens, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy.
We only got a short, we're only doing 30 minutes.
We just got 30 minutes here. So relax, right? Take a deep breath. Where do I start with all this? 32 years as a paramedic, serving the people of Ontario. I worked 12 years in the city of Mississauga, ripping around the streets and homes there, and did about a year and a half of international medevac, flying with a critical care transport team. I flew around the world on a Learjet. No, it wasn't the rock star lifestyle that you think. It was very much.
What kind of drinks did they serve on that?
Yes, carbonated, non-carbonated. But I got some great exposure with that, and then was fortunate enough in '99 to join the now known as Orange, ORNGE.
Yeah.
But I joined that team as a critical care flight paramedic, and I was stationed out of London. I was there for 20 years.
Nice.
Outstanding job. I don't downplay it in any way, shape, or form. It was an amazing job. I worked with some of the most talented, incredible people. I was trained at the Hospital for Sick Children. So I was trained at Toronto Sunnybrook, Toronto St. Mike's, London Health Science Center. So all the big hospitals.
Nice.
We were trained to a very high level. And expected to operate on that level. And you know what? I just had a conversation with one of my colleagues the other day. Where it gets to be a little bit difficult is that we're expected to always be right.
Yeah.
And, that's where it sort of started the next journey. So what was next happened with me is things just started falling apart for me. I started recognizing it, but because I'm a guy, because I come from that era, I just decided to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where like I know you and I have a connection through hockey, but we had a good connection at the gym.
Yeah, that was our place to get away.
That's where it all started. I
yeah.
still remember the day. I just want to quickly tell this story. Here's two donkeys at the gym doing what we're doing the guy thing, and a mutual friend of ours, because I was already involved in hockey. Somebody go, would you be interested in a scouting job with our junior B hockey team? And I go, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And I still remember walking into the office for that interview, as it was, and there's you. I'm going, oh God.
Oh, do I got to sit and interview with you?
Yeah. But where that took off from there is in 2015, things just prior to that were really starting to take effect in my life, where a lot of sleeplessness, lots of scaring the living hell out of my wife, waking up. She'd wake up in the middle of the night. And I, just gone through some terrible, reoccurrences or just dreams. And I'd be up yelling in a dark bedroom, and I'd be yelling at my wife, Angie, to, go over and take care of that person over there. I'm over here. And, obviously consciously not aware of that, but, and it just started scaring the hell out of her.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and lots of sleeplessness. And then, like I think so many of us, am I proud of this? Absolutely not. But I think it needs to come out there, where I started relying on alcohol to help me to sleep, because that was the way to go. Like I knew that if I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drinks, I could go to sleep and stay asleep for the night.
Wow.
So, it was tough.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tough, but came down to the realization we had some stuff going on in our personal lives as well, and I say the grace of God. This is not a religious show by any means, but by the absolute grace of God, it was my wife that finally said to me the one day, after I had just a complete breakdown in the house over, if you can believe it, my dog not eating his food.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And, I just lost everything and just came unglued, and just, like she said, had my little adult temper tantrum around the house, and punching walls and destroying dog food and everything else, and scaring the living hell out of my dog and my wife and the whole bit. She said, you need some serious help.
Yep.
Which I did. I was just not willing to do it. And my journey started there. She had already looked into somebody, a therapist out in the Stratford area. And I started my journey with him, and he absolutely changed my life.
Awesome.
Yeah. Took me from a very dark, destructive place. So I was falling apart in my personal life. I'd become that angry person. I was angry at everything. I lost my faith in humanity, because for 32 years, I had seen people at their worst, but I just seen that the shit that people can do to themselves and do to their loved ones and their families, and just destructive. But I was starting to become that.
Wow.
And then I journeyed into a world that's just, until you're there, you can't really acknowledge it. I can let you guys know. I can say it to you. But I don't know whether you're going to truly grasp this or not, or maybe you're already there. And that's a simple aspect, is I started to become silent. Because when I was silent, I didn't have to deal with anything.
Yeah.
And I started to step back. Like I say to my wife, we could be at a big party for where she works. We could be at a large gathering there, or other stuff. Let's say just at a bar, or at a whatever, a big house party, and I could actually just physically remove myself. Like physically, I'm standing there, but from a mental aspect, I could just remove myself to the back of the room.
Yep.
And not say anything.
Wow.
And my family started picking up on that. And that's why I sort of coined the phrase that when it's silent, that's when it's time to start listening, because that's when shit was going bad for me.
Yeah, and we're going to elaborate more on your story and my story as we go through. But it's one of those things where you said we met each other actually at the gym.
Yeah.
And that's a place where we felt safe.
Yeah.
That was it. There was a place where we felt safe, and I had no idea some of the things you were going through. You know, we were at the gym, we were pounding weights and poking fun at each other because that's what guys do. You know, is that all you can lift? You know, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's where we had our time to be away from everything else that went on and to release. And we met each other there on a daily basis, a regular basis for a very long time. And like I say, and that's where you were silent. You went there, you didn't have to talk about what your day was like.
Right.
You went there to lift weights. And I think with myself too, you know, we're from two different worlds altogether. I mean, here I am, a self-employed entrepreneur with my own marketing consulting company. I help large corporations brand themselves and rebrand themselves and to put themselves out in the market to be noticed. And so two different worlds altogether. But I found myself in school all the time. I was the one where the teacher, I would say, Mike, stop looking out the window, stop daydreaming. But that's who I was. I was a daydreamer. I always dreamed of, you know, bigger and greater things. And then I got into high school, and it was one of those things where they tried to put me in a hole. Here's where you're going to be. Your dad's been in the factory all his life. Your mom worked in a factory. You're going to be in a factory. So don't worry, just, you know, get your 50%, get through and get on. If I'd have known now, 50%, I should have been a weatherman, because they're only right 50% of the time anyway. But anyway, the point being is that they tried to pigeonhole.
I don't even know if it's 50% they're right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's raining today. Was it supposed to? Yeah. Anyway, so they tried to put me in a box. And that wasn't me. I was this one that wanted to be creative, and they wouldn't listen to me. I mean, the same thing. They weren't listening. And right now, I mean, just listening to your story, I've heard it 100 times, but it draws me in all the time. And that's where I was. Nobody was listening to me. They tried to put me in this box. This is where you're going to be. So I thought, you know what? I just got to get out of school. And I want to go do my own thing. And again, I tried for the first 10 years working in the corporate world, and I didn't mind it. It was fun. It was people I was around, but I wanted to be out. I wanted to be like the sales guys. Like, I worked at Seagram's Distillery until they shut the place down in '89. And I just thought, I got to be in sales. I want to be out with people. I want to be out there with the actions. I want to help create. I want to be that type of person. And I got into that field. But again, there you are as an entrepreneur. And it's crazy when all of a sudden you're responsible for, you know, creating your own income. You're responsible for taking it to the next step and taking care of your family, because you're it. It's your business. And I look at it today, and I've always said it's the young millennials these days. People always say they talk about feeling, you know, they feel privileged, or people say they should be. No, I think our youth right now are intelligent as hell. I mean, they'll take all kinds of chances. Like, they don't mind putting themselves out there. And back then I was before my time, I guess, is what people said. Mike, you know, you were before your time. You wanted to be creative and be out on your own. But the problem was too, is that I sat in silence many times because I didn't know where we were going financially. You know, didn't know where we were going. You know, things like that, because there was the ebbs and flows with business as you're out there.
Did you recognize that though?
I did, but I truly thought that it was just, you know, I knew I could do what I was doing. I was good at it. And I kept on looking at other reasons why it wasn't successful, and realized that, you know, okay, maybe it is me. And it took a long time before I had to look in the mirror and say, yeah, buddy, it's you.
Yeah. Well, self-reflection is a bitch.
Yeah.
It truly is, because when you can truly see you for either one, who you are, or what you've become.
Like, I was trying to live the life that everybody thought, you know, I spending more money than I was bringing in, being this, you know, I thought I was that guy. Everybody thought I was that guy too, you know, because I loved to watch people succeed. I always wanted to help other people get where they wanted to be. And then all of a sudden I started to suffer. We started to suffer as a family, and until we brought ourselves back into that loop again, and we said, you know what, we gotta take care of ourselves here. This is crazy. Yeah. And that's when, you know, and I think that brought us closer together, as you and Angie, your wife, talked about it too. Is all of a sudden when you recognize that, and the people around you bring you in. Like I said, we're from two different worlds, but the same thing. It was the silence. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to tell people. I was embarrassed. You know,
there's a big one.
Yeah, that we got, and then as soon as you step out, that's when people start to judge you, and you're thinking, "Holy crap! I went from embarrassment to being judged."
Yeah. Well, there's a huge fear in being judged.
Oh,
by
absolutely.
everybody, right?
Absolutely.
It's at the gym, but it's in life too, because, you know, we judge success by the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the house you live in, the job you have, the title you have. That's such crap.
you're exactly right. And that's the trap I fell into because,
Sure.
it was one of those things. You have your own business. So people are saying, oh, he must be successful. And you're thinking, holy shit, what did I do? So yeah, it's all about the house and it's all about the stuff.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what does that stuff get
stuff.
you? Yeah. I can't take the stuff with me. So anyway, so there's a lot of different things we're going to talk about in this podcast. It's just a little bit about the two of us, I guess, right?
Yeah. I think it's interesting and thanks for sharing what you did because, not knowing your story, like I knew you, when we first obviously became friends, but I didn't know your story, obviously. But that's the way I viewed you because you're always telling me, oh, you're off to Vegas and you're off to, LA and you were this and that and this. And I thought, holy Hannah, man, this guy's got it dialed in. This guy's. Well, you didn't drive a Mercedes or anything like that, but no, you're. I just thought you had it dialed in. I thought you had the world by the ass. And,
and that's the front that you put on, right? And but again, in the positive side for that is I went out every day with a positive frame of mind. I knew that I could be successful, and I got dragged back in because there was people saying to me, come on, that's not where you belong. That's not your background. There's no way you should be successful. You're not going to be a multiple six-digit income earner. There's no chance. I mean, you come from a house full of factory workers. That's what you're supposed to do. Work the rest of your life, get your pension, and retire. And that's it. And no, I'm one that, like I say, I don't want to quit. I love what I do right now. I don't want to quit. I don't see retirement anywhere down the road. I want to just keep moving forward. But I think more than anything, it's finding your way and finding your passion. And that's where I am right now. I mean, and look at where I am late in life. And right now I'm in this incredible place. And that's where I say, you know what? You don't need to go down that path I went down.
No.
You don't need to go down the path you went down. So what we want to do is we want to help people. I mean, my biggest passion, I think, is to help as many people as I can find their true, authentic self.
But that's an interesting statement you just made. We want to try to help people find themselves.
Right.
How are we going to do that?
Oh, wow. Well, again, when we sat down, Brian and I have the best coffee talks. We should videotape every coffee talk we have. But it's one of those things. There's so many people that have a story that they think they're the only ones stuck in that place. And they're not. I mean, when I did my show a while ago, and when we were on your show, I mean, the people that came on after they were done talking, they could not believe how good they felt because they actually now told their story. But the best part was that listener that jumped back on and said, "That's me.
Yeah, man.
That's my freaking story. I thought I was alone in this place. No, you're not." So the whole idea here, as we said, is to bring this community together from different walks, which we are, and we tied into each other. We had one common thing, and that was working out at the gym, but we were hiding at the gym too as to who we were.
Sure we were.
So now this is a fact that we want to come together with this podcast, bring people together, share your story, share what you've been doing and how you've found some relief or whatever, and step forward. And we're here just to listen. I mean, as I said, it's like you said, when it's silent, it's time to listen. It's time to really start listening.
And you know what? Just to finish off a little bit about myself, because sure, it's all about me right now, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'll just sit here. I'm just here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but I transitioned where I decided, made a healthy, conscious decision with my wife and my two girls that I couldn't return to that life.
Yeah.
Because the trauma was just too much. My glass was full.
Yeah.
And so I officially retired and come up with this crazy idea after visiting a friend of mine down in Kingston. And I decided that I wanted to open up a business still to reach out and help people because that's what I'm passionate about. But I wanted to now do that for my fellow brothers and sisters that I stood beside for so long. And I opened the doors for Frontline Forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And I watched you start that journey. I was there.
Yeah, you were there when things weren't good.
Oh, yeah. I walked in and I went, "You're going to do what?
Yeah.
With this place? You're going to do what?"
Yeah.
But no, exactly. And that's, and as you said, your wife and your daughters, and I was in the same place. I mean, we were so busy with our girls, because they were both at a highly competitive figure skating and gymnastics level that we spent a lot of time running around with them and didn't focus on, what we needed to focus on. We just wanted to be with them and watch them grow with themselves and help guide them. And next thing you know, holy shit, life got the hold of us, and we had to step back and go, we need to refocus. And I think right now it's incredible. We have two amazing daughters, and they both have amazing partners. We got grandkids, and Vicky and I are probably in the best place we've ever been in all areas of our life. We're so grateful for everything that we have right now. And then I look back again at the careers that we had, but look at where you are now, what's next, and where I am. And it's crazy. Like, yeah, we're in that last stage. I hate to say it. We're looking at the finish line,
the backside
down the road at some point.
Yeah.
And you are now doing something that you've always been passionate about, being in the gym, but now helping others.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, you know what, we want to make sure that we get across on the podcast here that we're not scientists. We don't have the answers. We don't pretend to have the answers. But we're going to bring you some pretty profound stories. We've got lots of people lined up from different walks of life, because that's what this is all about. This isn't just about first responders, although we're going to talk a lot about them.
Yeah.
But we've got some pretty profound stories, and hopefully that just touches you, gives you a chance to sit there at home and go, my gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
Or that's what I'm going through. And hopefully we can steer you in the right direction. We can give you a helping hand. And like we said in the trailer, if you need a little courage, borrow some of ours.
Absolutely.
If you need a helping hand, we're here.
Yeah.
And if you need some advice, we'll come at it authentically from where we are, and maybe it's going to work for you, maybe it's not, but that's for you to
and again, as we said, we may agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, we're going to listen very closely, because you might have answers or questions and answers that we should be asking and listening. I think that's the big thing, is that we're here to do. I mean, one of the things that we talked about as we were kind of putting this together, and all the stories that we shared leading into this podcast, and the number of guests that we've got lined up to come on, and I think one of the things that really struck me, I think one of the stories that struck me more than anything, and I realized that this is necessary, was that we talked about that young lady that sang on America's Got Talent. I think her Nightbird is what she went by or something, right? And this is a young girl that was struggling with cancer. The latest diagnosis was liver cancer, throat cancer, and gosh, I can't remember where else she had. But anyway, she was basically full of cancer, and they gave her a 2% chance to live. And she said, and I'm okay with that. 2% is better than zero.
Right.
And she said, so embrace the 2%. And I went, holy crap. Why can't we embrace the 2%? I mean, that story just moved the shit out of me. Can I say shit? I guess I just did, so I guess I can.
But I mean, I think, Mike, hopefully that's what we're going to do here, is just let people know that there's lots of time, and I hate to use the analogy, but comparison there, but you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
When you're going through what you're going through from a stress part of it, no, and that's why we come up with this idea for the podcast, because we literally want to know what's next.
Exactly.
Because you had to go from where you were to where you are, taking those steps.
Yep.
And one of the big things that was put to me, there's a couple of things that I want to make sure that we identify, but one was like living with PTSD. So I got diagnosed with severe complex PTSD.
Right.
Went through 18 months of therapy, incredible therapy, good help, good family support, which is super important. Good friends and family around that had to put up with the bad days, and we're there to celebrate the good days. And that we're here to just let you know that, hey, we're here. And we understand. We don't understand fully. We get it to a certain degree. We get it. And we're here to just lend you a helping hand. And, it came to me as like living with PTSD is like standing in the middle of a fast-moving stream, and you're on a rock, and you can feel that rock down below. You can't see your feet. And you got to get to the other side to be better.
Yep.
And somebody told you that there's rocks. There's a rock just ahead of you.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, and then there's another one, and then you're going to be on the other side, and you're going to be in a better place.
Yeah.
And you're like, you lift your one foot up and go to step forward, and you go, no, I can't.
Yeah.
And you try the other one, and you can't. I thought it was such an incredible way to describe it.
Yeah. You have to trust it. You have to trust that step.
You got to trust the step.
Yeah. And we're here to, like I said, who knows where you are right now? I mean, we're talking about what's next, but you could be in a great place right now and have a great vision as to where you want to go. And that's great. We want to have you part of the podcast too. But in the same breath, you may be stuck right now. Mm-hmm. So many people, they try to move forward and they hit what we call the terror barrier. They hit that wall and the fear of making that change or taking on that new challenge, and they back up again to be their old self again. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times have we heard that? And again, I'm one of those ones that, how many times I stopped and went, no, there's no way, you can't do that. And I stepped back because it's not who I thought I was. And it wasn't until I finally said, I have to move forward. You can't tell me who I am. I in my heart, I know I got to move forward. And that's why we came back to this again, to our podcast, because I know that between the two of us, we can actually touch a lot of people and help a lot of people just feel okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay to not feel okay. You know what?
Yeah. And that statement has been used a lot.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be okay, but we're going to jump into that. We're going to dive into that. Really, what does that mean?
Yeah.
To not be okay.
Yeah.
Because that could be so different for you as compared to me. And this is where, do you call it really a mental health illness? I don't know. Do you categorize depression and anxiety and PTSD into a mental health arena? It's a dangerous thing.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as you go there with that label, boy, society and maybe friends and family look at that a lot differently, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Do we leave it there? Do we leave it as a dissociative issue? I don't know, but we're going to talk more and more about that. We're going to bring some pretty exciting and cool people on that can explain this a hell of a lot better than you and I.
And like you said, we come from two very different sides of the tracks, from career-wise to where we are today. And again, we're going to talk about where you were, where you are now, and maybe help guide you to what's next. Being an extrovert, as I am, sales guy, extrovert, I just want to be out there around people. And for 2 years, I spent no time around people. I mean, I'm the first one to be at a trade show where I'm going to hug somebody and say, good to see you. How's things? How's the family? Couldn't do that for 2 years. Right. So I sat in silence a lot the last 2 years, and as you said, PTSD, I had some issues as well. Were they mental health issues? I don't know. I mean, this is going to be great conversation with a lot of great people, CEOs of companies. We're talking teenagers. We're talking, first responders and things like that. There's a lot of great people we're going to have on this show right now. We're going to have some musicians on the show. People, there's another area. I mean, 2 years not playing live, playing in a studio by themselves. I mean, that's
Well, we did come up with some great ideas for songs just prior to the show. And, some of them are good. Some of them, I don't know whether they're going to fly or not. But, maybe we'll reach out to you two and to the Stones and to those other groups and just say, hey, we got a great idea for a song.
Yeah, we do. Well, and we talk about what's next. And, it all starts with yesterday.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of great.
You're gonna start, aren't you?
What? Sorry. Sorry, that just popped out of my head.
Steven's sitting in the background right now going, oh my gosh.
And on that, I'm glad you brought up. I want to really thank our good friend and partner, Stephen Ryan, Stephen Ryan Music. He's in the background. This is his studio that we're in, and we're just thrilled to be here. Yeah, he was, when we sat down and told him our vision, he said, I'm all in. I mean, I don't think we had to go into descriptive what we were going to talk about. He says, I'm in, because we've got this connection with Stephen. We gathered many years ago a couple of years ago when you started up the Frontline Forward, and Stephen was right in with us with like a dirty shirt and helping out, and we've always had this really cool connection. And Stephen's all in, and we're going to definitely get Stephen on this show at some point too. I'll let you know. I don't know if I like the guy that much, but we'll get him on.
Well, and you know what? Do yourself a favor, look him up.
Yeah.
Listen to his music because it is spectacular.
Oh, the guy's brilliant. I don't know if he's in earshot, but the guy is absolutely brilliant. And I'm looking forward, like I said.
He's a lot smarter than you and I.
Okay.
But that's not saying a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll give you that. So, Yeah, and again, like I said, there's so many different people in different parts of their life right now. So what's next? And it's going to be exciting to find out where people are going and how we can be part of that. And we're going to start a community as well.
Yes.
You know, I know you were working with your website designer and creator there, and we're social media that. So hopefully we can build a community where you can come into the community and feel safe.
Yeah, and you know what? We've started off. Frontline Forward's going to be a big sponsor of this show.
Yeah,
and we got to give a big shout out to Mr. Brent Ferguson.
Yes, yeah, Brent, good friend of ours too. Brent is actually he's a guide. There's so many talk coaches out there and everything else, and coaches are great, but we call him our guide. He works very closely with Don Miller. Hero on a Mission is the name of the program, but he's actually helped guide us to clarify the message we want to get out. And you know, it can be cloudy. But Brent was brilliant. I mean, if you are somebody out there, we'll give him a shout out, Brent. If you're a business that's kind of lost its way or lost its vision or needs to be more clear as to where you're going and where your company is going and making sure that everybody is on the same page, aligning together, because you have to be on the same page when you're a large company. Like, you have to be on the same mission. You have to be on the same, you have to all truly believe in the same thing to move forward. So Brent was absolutely brilliant in sitting down with us and helping us make sure that we had our message clear, what we wanted to do. And so a shout out to Brent Ferguson. We'll put a little link down below if you want to reach out to Brent and chat with him more. I mean, we didn't really touch on exactly. I mean, he's brilliant, but
Yes.
We're going to definitely have him on the show here as well, because it's funny how you think, oh, I got a vision. And then when you sit down and you talk to somebody that actually can help you clarify your vision, he really helped us with that. So
Absolutely.
Brent Ferguson, thank you very much. Stephen Ryan, thanks for opening up the studio. This is a brilliant place. Love it. We are going to be here every Monday, right?
We are.
We decide on a time that we're going to launch? No, we didn't decide it.
No, we didn't decide on that yet.
All right. I guess that's it.
All right,
guys, that's our first one. And again, we're just sitting here throwing stuff out and what's on our mind. And like I said, you can agree to disagree, but we're here to listen and hopefully get some answers from you guys too and guide you.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks very much for hanging out with us.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.
Peace.
Bye.